Hey guys, I'm Andrea and welcome to episode 16 of Careers Are Weird. Happy Wednesday, you guys. August is ending, and I guess that means summer is ending, and it's time to be productive and work towards our end of year targets. You know, KPIs and corporate lingo and revenue and stuff. So, good luck with that, and remember to smile and nod when some Gen X or Boomer inevitably asks if you're refreshed and recharged and ready to hit the ground running. Obviously not, but hey, just smile and nod. So you guys know how I say careers are weird, and well then, I named this podcast Careers Are Weird. You know, they're not just weird, they're actually downright straight out of a movie. If you are one of our 177 followers on Instagram, you would have seen a reel I posted back in the day that said, "What genre is your career?" Go to Insta and watch the reel after, but it basically said, sometimes you're laughing over lunch and it's a feel-good comedy, but then there's a minor inconvenience and you think you need to quit, so it becomes an emotional drama. Then someone sends you an email with a deadline and it feels like you're in a live-action thriller. But then the client finally accepts your deliverables and it feels like a fairy tale. So in my head, I already think careers are movies. But then I've been watching the submission link go crazy the last couple of weeks, and it's time to share some of these stories to see how weird some of our careers really are. This week's episode is from you guys who have been supporting the show, so thanks for submitting your stories, and whilst you're here, please follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating, or if you're on YouTube, please subscribe and give this episode a thumbs up. We're keeping it short and sweet this week, so listen till the end because the stories only get weirder and funnier. Let's set the scene. If you've never done a submission, these are the story categories. 1, today's the day I'll kill a colleague. 2, I need a new job yesterday. 3, the funniest thing happened at work. 4, my weirdest work experience. Let's get into this. First one, category. My weirdest work experience. So I work as a first aid attendant and someone came to see me about her mosquito bite on her calf and asked if it looks okay. And I'm like, yeah, it looks like a mosquito bite. And she's like, but it's so big and itchy. And then asked if she should go to the emergency room. But what if it gets infected and she goes to the emergency room and would they need to amputate? Serious conversation, I'm not joking. She legitimately asked me this and then asked if she should put gauze on it. And I looked at her like she was nuts. Oh my God. Listen to me. If you ever feel incompetent or underqualified for your role, or you're having one of those days where you think you're not doing anything, just remember how many people out there really, really need your help and look up to your level of knowledge. Basic knowledge to you is completely new territory for someone else. You are needed, and if you maintained a straight face during that conversation, then you should be very proud of yourself. Second story, category, I need a new job yesterday. Story. To give some context, in my workplace, all my colleagues are from the same nationality except for me. For them, it's quite usual to work over the weekends after working hours. Last weekend, on a Saturday, my boss called me 4 times. And she does this all the time, so I didn't pick up because there was nothing urgent pending to do. In fact, my job responsibilities don't involve any urgency. Because of this, she proceeded to call another of my colleagues and complain that I wasn't picking up the call to say how irresponsible I was and that I didn't care for this job. The next day, she smiled at my face and said she was just checking on me because she thought I was traveling. Advice of the day, join a culturally diverse company. First of all, I am mad at the colleague who did pick up her call. Should have let her explode all by herself. Second of all, I'm proud of you for letting that phone ring because you know your job best. You know your responsibilities and if you're on top of your work. Don't let those who fell behind try to disrupt your weekend. Micromanagers, they've got trust issues, so you know what? Do your work and live your life. Third one, the funniest thing happened at work. Story. So we had a deliverable for another team that we needed new access for. That access had already been granted to another member of the team, but we changed the assignee and the stakeholder absolutely flipped his lid in the group chat and directed all his anger at my junior. I immediately messaged her directly to check in and ask her if she wanted me to mediate the situation. She said, "No, it's fine, I've got it. He's so angry, haha, I don't know why, it's just access." She was completely unfazed and she just managed the situation herself. I was really impressed by her ability to not sweat the small stuff and her people skills. The project was completed successfully. Yes, got to love this attitude. You guys, everything is made up. Unless you're in the medical field, we are saving PDFs, not lives. Why are you mad, bro? I love your colleague. Hashtag unfazed, hashtag unbothered. Yes, protect your peace, homegirl. Fourth one, today's the day I'll kill a colleague. Story. So here's a little story about when I was an intern. I went into an in-person work meeting where there were about 8 of us and I was the only woman at this meeting. At the end of the presentation, the presenter said, "Thank you, gentlemen." I rose my hand and I said, "And lady." My colleague who was sitting across from me said, "Ooh, you're sensitive." I told him I wasn't sensitive, I'm just not a man. Moral of the story, as women in the workplace, it's important to speak up, ensure that you're not being overlooked simply because you're a woman. Yes, girl. I would pay to see what his face looked like when you responded. So rude, but also, ladies, this. So many of us are the only women to be in decision-making meetings in our companies because, try as they might, very few companies are anywhere near gender parity in the organization. Take up space, speak up, and never let them forget that you're there. Well, freaking done. Fifth one, my weirdest work experience is the category. And the story is, we were at our annual team building and the dress code was all white. We were a small company, maybe 12, and we were very international. So the plan was to stay on a big Airbnb and have a cookout. Everyone would cook something from their country. Of course, the French brought the wine, so we were there having dinner, having a good time, and then it was time to do the dishes and clean everything. So we divided the tasks. I had dishwashing with a colleague, and suddenly I saw my boss shirtless, washing his shirt in the sink because he had stained it with red wine. Keep in mind that my boss was 72, so we're there just watching an old man shirtless washing his clothes. I mean, I would have done the same thing in my bathroom where nobody's watching me. Definitely not in front of all my employees that are significantly younger than me. Anyways, that's one of the weirdest experiences at my job. Love this dynamic. Love the podcast. Keep going. Oh, thank you. Thank you for supporting the podcast. But wow, man. And boomers have the audacity to say that younger millennials and Gen Z have no workplace etiquette. Like, what? I truly hope you guys just told him to do the dishes since he's already at the sink and literally just walked away. 72, my guy, you do not need to. Oh my God. Wow. Sixth one. The funniest thing happened at work. As part of an active initiative at work, myself and another colleague were tasked with creating a fun Friday activity that incorporated some form of exercise. Given the demographic of our team and the current activity levels of them, we opted for a fun treasure hunt around the building with lots of different clues. The aim was to get people away from their desk for 30 minutes, with the most challenging part being to go down one flight of stairs. The elevator was an option to come back up. The clues were generated by our good friend ChatGPT. The excitement of the whole activity got a little too much for some, with one member of staff tripping and falling down the flight of stairs. Fortunately for her, there was a colleague in front of her who was able to adapt quickly and break her fall. However, unfortunately, this happened to be possibly the only member of staff who really likes to keep themselves to themselves. And something like that for them is possibly the most awkward encounter they'll ever have come into. Thankfully, they were okay, perhaps a little bruised ego. And now our Friday fun activity is limited to chair exercises and nothing that requires the stairwell ever again. Wow, it always takes one person to ruin the organized fun. I'm sad for you, and You know what? I can't even imagine organizing a chair exercise. Like, oh my God, are you going to play musical chairs in the office? You know what? I dare you to organize the next team outing to be paintball and see how that goes, because there's no way that you're limited to chair exercises. That's too funny. Anyway, you guys, we have such interesting work environments, so many characters, the plots, the scene, the theme, the genres. This is actually hilarious. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted stories. The submission link is in the show notes and the Instagram and LinkedIn bio, so please submit and listen up for your story on future episodes of the podcast. That's it for this week. Share this episode with your friends and colleagues so that you can all laugh at the fact that all of us have weird experiences in our careers. This episode was so much fun, so until next Wednesday, stay weird and stay ambitious, my friends.